Hey everybody, time for another fun DIY. I found this sign at Goodwill a couple months ago and kind of sat on it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it until now. So here it is. I'm going to cut off that twine that had the little clothespins on it. And then I have this tile that I found at Restore for Habitat for Humanity. So I grabbed that and we're going to throw it on the sign. And we're going to make this about bees. So I took my, what is it? Oh, it's the Type Bond Quick and Thick glue. And then I kind of smeared that all over the back. And then I also went in with some Gorilla Glue as well, just because these tiles are kind of heavy and I wanted to make sure that they held to the sign. And placed it, and then I let it dry overnight. So the next day, I took just some of my white chalk paint, and I'm just kind of going around the outside of the tile. And then for the hive, if you will, I just took 3 different acrylic paints, 2 different shades yellow and then the orange. And I'm just going to kind of randomly place them on the tile, as you can see here. And then I'm going to take my sponge dabber and I'm just going to dab all over it. It's actually going to blend the colors as I go throughout the piece. After that was completely dry, then I just took 120 grit sandpaper and just kind of lightly went over it. This is going to distress it a little bit, kind of hit the edges of it. I don't know, and just make it look kind of cool, a little more rustic. And then I took my black wax, and as you can see here, I'm just smearing it all over. This is going to hit all the high points of the paint on the tiles, which you'll be able to see when I do close-ups later on. And then I took that same sandpaper and I'm just kind of going around the edges and then also in those little creases of the boards. Now, so I did stencil on some bees with black and I did not like it. I felt it was too flat for this piece. So now I'm putting the stencil back over it and I'm just going to take my Pampered Chef pan scraper and I'm going over it with the Dry Dex spackle. It goes on pink and then it will dry white, so which is really nice. You'll put it on and then when it turns right, you'll know it's dry and then you can continue on. And then I also had the 2 bees and yeah, why not put on a 3rd? So that's what I did. And there's our 3 bees. So I let them dry. Here they are completely dry. You can tell because they're white. And then I'm taking my sandpaper and I'm just going over them. And what this is doing is kind of smoothing all that spackle out. There were a lot of kind of sharp points and edges. So I wanted everything smooth. And then get rid of all that spackle dust. And now I'm just going over it with black paint. I'm just using chalk paint for this. You can use acrylic, it doesn't really matter. Painted all the bees black, let that dry, and now I'm taking some Wise Owl salve and I'm just going over random spots of that black. What that's going to do is it's just going to kind of seal it onto the spackle. And once I did all 3, then I went back in with my white wax from DIY. Kind of same thing, just kind of randomly going over, not worried about getting every single little nook and cranny and spot, just kind of randomly placing it. Then I'm going to wipe it back with a rag. Kind of get the white wax off of some of the high points. It's going to sit down in those low points, add a little bit of depth, some more texture, which is really, really nice. You guys know me, I like depth and texture, so this definitely adds to it. And to top it all off, we're going to go over it with some gold wax and just hit all the high points of the bumblebees. And there we are. Okay, so I wanted to put Be Happy on this. I'm going to make a mistake here and I'm going to show you guys how I fixed it. So I started off with some of my letter stencils from Iron Orchid Design, or not stencils, stamps. And I'm just kind of pouncing some black paint on it with my sponge dabber. Now, as you can see, I am putting the B and E right on the quote-unquote hive or honeycomb. Yeah. So I put it down, and then after I stamped the letters, I kind of filled in little areas with just my paintbrush and black paint. And then I went on and I stamped the word happy on the bottom. And then after I was done doing that and stamping it, I really did not like the B and E on the honeycomb. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, here I'm just kind of fixing some of the happy letters. But yeah, so I didn't like the B on the honeycomb. So I just took a couple baby wipes, and just rubbed it off. And I'm just going to quickly kind of redo what I did before. So we're going to go over it with the 3 different paints, kind of pounce that on. Then I'll go over it with some black wax again and some salve. And we're just going to kind of fix that area. And then I'll put the B and the E on the top. The reason why I didn't in the first place is because my stamps are a little too long for that area that was on top. But yeah, I really didn't like it on the honeycomb, so we're just going to kind of improvise. So I'm just kind of stamping what I can on the top, and then I'm going to fill in the rest with just some paint and a paintbrush and just complete those letters. And now I'm going to take that same sponge dabber with some black paint, and I'm just going to edge around the whole thing, the outer edge of the project. And then I'm going to take some black wax and a paintbrush, and I am just going around the outer edge of that honeycomb as well. I want to make sure that all those little spaces in between the tiles around the outside are filled and shaded. And once I apply that black wax, I'm going to come through with a rag and just kind of fade it out a little bit. And voila, there's my Be Happy sign. Got to repurpose a sign that I've had sitting around, used up some tile that I had, and my JRV bumblebee stencils, which are amazing. So yeah, happy Sunday, everybody.